Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our financial literacy segment brought to you by OGPay.com, today we're joined by Austin Zelan, founder of Cashflowpreneur, TedX Speaker, and mentor. Austin coaches many people around the world on becoming financially literate through his brand, Cashflowpreneur. His focus is on investments that create cash flow for his clients and allow them to live the life they deserve. His mission is to create 1,000 new millionaires through his unique passive income strategies by the year 2027. A recent in-depth article titled Austin Zelan's Mission, Passive Income for All, explored his groundbreaking strategies and insights that have revolutionized the way individuals can generate wealth and financial independence. Austin has dedicated his career to helping individuals build multiple streams of passive income. He believes that anyone can really create a life full of freedom and abundance by investing in themselves and, of course, leveraging the power of residual income. Austin says that, quote unquote, passive income is extremely important because it allows us to teach the three freedoms in our life: financial freedom, time freedom, and of course, geographical freedom. This means that we can finally do what we want, when we want, and with whoever we want, end quote. Now, let's get it straight. The best way to earn passive income aren't only the purview of the wealthy. Of course, with a modicum of startup time and capital, anyone can really create a passive income stream. And passive income isn't literally money without effort, but more akin to money with less effort. Now, some passive income strategies like owning dividend-paying stocks or bonds require less work than owning actual rental real estate. Today, Austin is here to chat the best ways to earn passive income and how you can take control of your finances. Welcoming now to the show is the awesome Austin. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. Welcome to New York City. Very exciting stuff. You have a big few days ahead of you. Now, let's dive right in. So you have this 4-step passive income framework that is basically able to transform an investment portfolio to the point where your clients can scale to 7 and 8 figures easily. And you were recently quoted saying that it's all about following a proven investment protocol that manages risk and creates profitable outcomes for the investor. Tell me more, and what are these secret 4 steps?
Alrighty, so the 4-step framework that we use is LIPS, or LIPS. It's an acronym that we use in our passive income investment strategies in order to remember the steps that we need to follow in order to generate passive income. So everybody goes through these 4 steps sequentially in order to maximize the returns that they're getting from their investment. So the first one is L, and that's learning. They're learning about all the different things that they could possibly invest in. And that ranges from physical assets to maybe even some more risky stuff if they want to play in the financial markets. And we basically just want to learn about all these different opportunities, all the ways that we can fund our investments, all the ways that other people are doing these investments so that we can be more successful. It's all about learning in that phase. Then you move on to the next phase, which is I, and we start implementing some of these things. Once you've learned about all the different investment types that maybe exist in your region or your area or your country, you're going to want to find out which ones are going to work the best for you. And the only way to do that is to start implementing. So we start implementing these different investments and we start applying capital to them. And then we start seeing which ones are working out, which ones maybe aren't really working out as well as we thought. And that's when we move on to the third phase. The third phase is perfecting. So we found the investments that are working for us. We found the ones that we want to keep working with, and we start perfecting them. So maybe it's something like an Airbnb or maybe a rental property. And we realize that, hey, every time in our Airbnb, when we add a fire pit, we can charge so much more every single night, and it doesn't really cost us that much more to deliver. So now we start perfecting all of our investments and tweaking different things that make them more profitable.
Agreed. And well, the most important thing is that you've taken the guesswork, so to speak, out of it. And
Yep.
I think that there should not be any guesswork when investing, only, to your point, proven strategies. Because when you look at where we're at in the world today, there's a lack of financial literacy, of course. And to your point, this has caused so many people to be scared of investing and ultimately lose money. And that, plus, all the compounded is essentially by the notion of inflation at 6 and 8% annually. Now, again, to your point, must be making at least 8 to 9% in order to just break even. And
Yeah.
further to your point, we're not even talking about any profits, right? So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that the guesswork is extracted out of this equation. And I love how you map that out. Can you, in your perspective, can you make passive income with little to no money?
Yes, you can, but you're going to have to put in a lot more work on the front end. So, in my opinion, as we go through that four-step framework, the last part is scaling. And so scaling allows us to really maximize what we're making out of these investments, but at the very beginning, you might not have that much capital that you're putting up. And so what I find is that you can either have capital. Your second option is to access capital from the bank, which we also teach as well. Or the third option is to find somebody who does have capital and maybe partner up with them. Because if they have the capital, they probably don't want to put in the work. But if you're willing to put in the work, you can come in as a partner. You're doing the work while they fund the project. And eventually, that's going to be profitable for you. So you're going to have some capital that you can then reinvest into your next project. So I would say if you don't want to spend too much capital at the beginning and just put in some work, it's a great way to get that initial investment profit rolling in. And then you can start reinvesting.
I love it. Now, getting creative is at the core of it all. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
Now let's chat setting expectations. So earning passive income from investing involves kind of predicting your return based upon the investment amount. A $5,000 investment in a dividend fund that pays a 6% yield will provide $300 per year, while a successful affiliate website might earn $1,000 per month or more. So when you're looking at giving people the right advice, and you're talking about the best passive income investments really involve balancing human capital, financial capital, time, and skills. What do you say to this, and what is your advice on setting expectations?
I think that the more capital you're investing, the more conservative you should be, just generally speaking. And that's the way that I've used investing myself to generate wealth. Because at the beginning, it doesn't really matter what you're investing into if you're investing less than like $10,000. It's not really going to make much of a difference. You could be making 30% a year, 40% a year, and it's still not life-changing money for most people. Now, once you start getting into like, let's say millions or maybe tens of millions, now you're going to have to really think about the things that you're investing in, because that could probably make a pretty big difference if one of those doesn't work out. So I say diversification is always the way to go. Setting the right expectations is that not every investment works out, and if you can get an accuracy rate of, let's say, 70 or 80%, my overall portfolio accuracy is about 70%. That means about 30% of my investments fail. And the reason is that I'm always trying new investments. So I'm always trying new things that most of them work, but some of them, they just don't work out. And you always have to make sure that your possibility or your chance of profit is much higher than the amount that you could possibly lose. So that way you're net profitable, even if you're losing on some investments. So having the right expectation that it's not a perfect game, it's not a game of perfection, it's a game of maintaining your status as an investor for as long as possible. And that means managing your risk really, really well.
Very, very, very well said. Now, investing in financial markets spans banking and financial products like stocks and bonds. Buying banking products like certificates of deposit and high-yield cash accounts is less risky, with lower upside potential than investing in financial market assets. Now, passive investing in dividend-paying stocks or interest-paying bonds provides cash flow, but requires a larger investment to realize meaningful monthly income, to your point. Now, in your opinion, what are the best passive income investments?
So I can't make any recommendations, but for me personally, what's worked out really well is kind of like an alternative investment model. So instead of going to the financial markets, which everybody can do, I like the investments that are less accessible. They still provide me the safety, but they also can generate much higher returns. And for me, the best investment so far has been private jets. So you basically acquire a jet, you own the physical asset. Think about it. The worst thing that could possibly happen is maybe you have to sell the jet and recoup all, if not most, of your money. But the best case scenario is that you could be doing 30, 40, 50, 60% a year on these jets. And those are real numbers. That's actual data that we have on our jets. We charter them out through a charter company, so it's very passive for the investor. The majority of the work that you're going to have to do is just get on a monthly call maybe with the rest of the investors to talk about the statement and your profit split. And that's about it. So the charter company runs the entire operation. For me, that's a very safe investment. It does really, really well. And I know I'm protected because at any point in time, I could pull up the tail number on my phone and I can see exactly where my plane is, exactly what it's doing. And I know it's there. It's always intrinsically valuable. So even if we, let's say, went off the dollar and we didn't use the dollar anymore, whatever currency we're using, that jet intrinsically contains value within it. You can't just replace it for free. It's an expensive asset and it always will be that, no matter what currency it's denominated in.
That's a very creative way to secure your investment, and more importantly, when you talk about the aviation industry and where we're at right now, people are just wanting to fly, and they're wanting to fly private
Yeah.
because they just don't want to be bothered with the hassles of it all. So, yeah, that sounds great. Now, let's chat real estate investing, because this is one of my favorites. But of course, real estate investing is frequently touted as a response to the question, what is the best way to earn passive income? But real estate investing takes many forms, some
Yeah.
more passive than others. Owning and managing real property is passive until a pipe breaks or the renter doesn't pay their rent. Then it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
With real property investing, you'll also need a chunk of capital to begin. Now, real estate crowdfunding apps or investing in real estate investment trusts, REITs, are more passive. Once you purchase the securities, you wait for the cash flow. How do you feel about REITs, real estate investment trusts? What are your thoughts?
I know some really high performing REITs, but I think that you're really leaving a lot of the benefits on the table as an investor if you just go that route. Now, for some people, that's a perfect fit. Some people want to be less involved. They don't even want to think about what their money's doing. They just want to invest into the trust and let the trust do the work. And that's totally fine. There's a market for people like that. For me personally, I like to be a little bit more involved in the process. I like to be a GP on big deals, so multifamily real estate. And we try to make it as passive as possible by having a management company run it. So to avoid the issues that you just mentioned, we tend to like not not purchase smaller properties. So anything below, I'd say like 32 units, 40 units. The finances just aren't there to hire a management company. You want to have a management company operating the building for you, doing evictions and any repairs, maintenance, bringing in new tenants. That's a lot of the work when it comes to multifamily real estate. Single family real estate, I would just stay away from. Now, I do some personally, but I don't manage any of it. But that's a lot harder to find a solid management company for, and you're going to have to do that yourself on the front end before you can have a passive portfolio, so to speak. Whereas with multifamily, you typically have a GP or maybe multiple GPs who are taking care of that for you, and you come in as a limited partner, you invest, eventually refinance, pull out your cash, you own that asset, and you buy another one.
There you go. Talk about 10xing your business right there in less than a paragraph.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about REITs, it's important for everyone to understand that a real estate investment trust is an investment vehicle that owns a pool of commercial real estate, basically. There are REITs, of course, that provide broad diversification across the real estate landscape, but you can buy niche REITs that own senior housing, student housing, warehouses, commercial property, mortgages, shopping malls, data centers, and you get the picture, many other varieties of property. And of course, the benefits of these REITs for cash flow is that they are required by law to pay out 90% of their taxable income to shareholders. So that's interesting. It's an interesting not loophole, but safety net, if you will. Now, what are the biggest mistakes people are making, Austin, when it comes to passive income?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen is people go all in on one thing when they're just starting out. And the reason is that they get excited, and I totally understand because I did that at the beginning as well. But over time, one of the biggest things that I learned is diversification. And I believe that there are two types of diversification. There is internal diversification and there's external. So let's start with external. I'm diversified into multiple industries, private jets, real estate, exotic cars, yachts. All these are different industries that are not necessarily correlated. So externally, my portfolio is diversified. Now let's click down into one of these and let's say we have real estate. I'm going to diversify internally with real estate as well. I'm going to buy property in Vegas. I'm going to buy property in Florida. I'm going to buy property in Texas and Tennessee and Georgia. And I could go even deeper. I could buy property by the beach. I could buy property in the hills somewhere. I could buy property in the city. So I'm diversifying within that sector of my portfolio. And that's providing protection for me, because if one of them doesn't work out, the other ones are probably still working for me. And because I'm in different areas and different markets and I have a different demographic that I'm targeting, it's likely that I'm going to have a very stable portfolio.
Love it. Love it. You are so full of knowledge, and you do what you do for a reason. Thank you so much for coming on. You are absolutely incredible. Love chatting with you, filled with knowledge, and financial literacy is really at the heart of it all. Once you have that, the rest, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, everyone should consider investing for the future. With just a tad of ambition and the ability to motivate yourself, it's wise to consider creating passive income streams. Employment is uncertain, and creating multiple streams of income is definitely a sound financial plan. That was Austin Zelan, founder of Cashflowpreneur, TEDx speaker and mentor. And of course, Austin coaches many people around the world on becoming financially literate. Definitely check out his brand, Cashflowpreneur. You can check him out on the gram at Austin Zelan, Zelan, or you can head directly to investwithaustin.com. That was our financial literacy segment brought to you by OGPay.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.